You ever get that feeling that someone's watching you and it makes you act different? Well, what if I told you that's not just a feeling, but it's actually a fundamental principle of the entire universe? Today, we are diving into the observer effect, this absolutely mind-bending idea that the simple act of watching something can literally change it.
So let's just start with a really simple question. Can you truly look at something without changing it? I mean, it seems obvious, right? You're just looking. But as we are about to find out, the universe has a much stranger answer for us.
And this is it, right here, the observer effect. It's this core principle that the act of observing a phenomenon inevitably changes that phenomenon. And what's so wild is how this one single idea works in two totally different worlds, the tiny, bizarre world of subatomic particles and, well, the world of us.
That's right. This is not just some niche scientific quirk we're talking about. This is a fundamental rule about how reality actually works, whether you're looking at the smallest particles in existence or, the person sitting right next to you.
So, you've got two sides of the same coin here. Over in the world of physics, observing a particle means you have to physically interact with it, and that changes its state. But in human behavior, it's all about the psychological pressure of being watched that makes us act differently. So same name, but two completely different reasons why it happens. Let's start with the quantum side, because it gets weird.
All right, we are heading deep into the strange and wonderful world of quantum mechanics. Down here, the rules of our everyday world they don't apply. And looking at something is anything but a passive activity.
And here is the absolute key difference. You can see a baseball flying through the air without affecting it, because the light bouncing off it is, harmless. But you can't just see an electron. To observe something that tiny, you have to physically poke it with something. And that poke changes everything.
Okay, so check out how this works. To see an electron, you basically have to shine a light on it, which means hitting it with a photon. But a photon has energy. It's kind of like trying to find a tiny, floating piece of dust by throwing a bowling ball at it. The very second you find it, you've already knocked it completely off its original course. You've changed its state just by trying to measure it.
And the most famous example of this is the double slit experiment. It is so cool. When scientists fire particles like electrons at two slits without watching which slit they go through, the electrons act like waves, creating this beautiful interference pattern on the other side. But, and this is the crazy part, the second they put a detector there to see which slit each electron goes through, poof, the wave pattern just vanishes. The electrons start acting like simple, solid particles. The act of observation literally forces reality to pick a side.
It's truly mind-bending stuff. But as strange as the quantum world is, this effect has a twin that you experience every single day, whether you realize it or not.
So let's shift gears and look at the psychological side of things. This is the human dimension of the observer effect, and it's something we can all recognize.
And I bet these scenarios sound familiar, right? The moment a teacher walks into the classroom, everyone's posture magically improves. When the boss is watching, suddenly everyone becomes the perfect employee. This is the observer effect in action. We change what we're doing simply because we know someone is watching. Our awareness of being observed alters our actions.
Now in psychology, this has a specific name, the Hawthorne effect. The reason it happens isn't a photon knocking us off course, it's our own self-awareness. When we're unobserved, we're usually running on autopilot, but when we know eyes are on us, our brain switches into what you could call performance mode. We become more conscious, more careful, and often a lot more stressed about what we're doing.
Okay, before we go any farther, it's really important we clear something up. It's a super common point of confusion, especially when we talk about the physics side of this. This one trips a lot of people up.
The observer effect is often confused with Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. So here's the difference. The observer effect is like trying to measure the temperature of a cup of tea with a cold thermometer. The thermometer itself changes the temperature just by being there. The uncertainty principle, on the other hand, is way more fundamental. It says that a particle doesn't even have a precise position and a precise speed at the exact same time. It's not that our measurement is clumsy. It's that reality itself is just fuzzy at that level.
So we've got this fascinating principle that stretches all the way from the quantum realm to our own psychology, but so what? What are the real-world consequences? Why does any of this actually matter to us?
Well, the implications are absolutely huge. In science, this effect is a massive hurdle in fields like quantum computing, where just trying to read the state of a quantum bit can destroy the very information it's holding. And in our world, it's a critical factor in everything from designing fair scientific studies of people to big debates about surveillance and privacy. I love this analogy because it just makes the whole quantum problem crystal clear. Imagine you want to check the pressure in a balloon. You might squeeze it a little to see how firm it is. But the moment you squeeze it, you've increased the pressure inside. Your act of checking has changed the very thing you were trying to measure. That's the observer effect, in a nutshell.
And all of this brings us to the single most important takeaway. Observation is not a passive act. It's never neutral. Whether it's a scientist's measurement tool or just a person's gaze, the very act of paying attention changes the world around us.
So I'll leave you with this thought. If our attention can literally collapse quantum possibilities and change human behavior, what are we creating, or maybe even destroying, just by looking? It's a powerful question, and it reminds us that we aren't just observers of our world. We are active participants in its creation.